Captain Leo stood quietly in the ruins of the alien base. Smoke rose from the broken walls, and the ground was covered in dust and old blood. The war between humans and the tiny alien race, the Minari, had just paused. A ceasefire was in place, but no one trusted it to last. Leo was sent there to help gather any survivors and bring them in for questioning. Most of the base was empty, but in one small dark room, he found her. She was sitting in the corner, her knees pulled close to her chest. She looked no older than a child, but Leo knew the Minari aged differently. Her skin glowed faintly blue, and her eyes were large and full of fear. She trembled as he entered the room, a soldier with armor and a gun. She didn't speak, just stared at him like he was death itself. Leo lowered his weapon. He had seen enough death in this war. He knelt slowly and said, "Hey, it's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." She didn't answer. He tried again. "What's your name?" Still no answer, but she blinked, just once, slowly. Leo sighed. He looked around. This room had been a shelter, maybe even a nursery. There were broken toys scattered on the ground. A strange silence filled the air. He knew she wouldn't last long in this state. He needed to get her talking, or at least calm her down. He chuckled softly, mostly to himself. "You know, maybe I'll marry you when this war is over. What do you think?" It was a dumb joke. A tired soldier trying to make a scared alien girl laugh. He didn't expect her to react. But then, slowly, she tilted her head and looked up at him. Her lips moved. "Promise?" she whispered. Leo froze. Her voice was soft but clear. For a second, he didn't know what to say. He gave a small smile. "Sure, promise." She smiled, too. It was a small, quiet smile, but it stayed in his mind long after that day. He picked her up gently, wrapped her in a blanket, and brought her to the ship. After that, he never saw her again. Years passed. The war ended. Leo left the army. He tried to live a normal life. He bought a small house in a peaceful Earth town far from the battlefield. No more weapons. No more missions. He planted a garden. He walked in the morning. He read old books. Sometimes he thought of the war. He remembered the soldiers he lost. And sometimes, just sometimes, he thought of the tiny alien girl with glowing, blue skin who had asked him for a promise. One rainy night, Leo was making tea in his kitchen. The wind blew hard outside. Thunder rolled in the sky. Suddenly, his house lights blinked. Then again. Then the power went out. He walked to the front door to check outside. That's when he saw the light. A soft, glowing light filled his backyard. He opened the door and stepped out slowly. The rain had stopped. The sky was still. A strange ship hovered in the air, silent and silver, glowing like moonlight. And standing in front of it was a figure. It was a girl. But she was not the same girl from the war. She was taller now, graceful, and glowing with quiet power. Her hair flowed like silver water. Her eyes were still large and blue, but calm, strong. She wore a robe that sparkled like stars. She didn't look like a child anymore. Leo didn't move. His heart beat faster. Who are you?" The girl stepped forward. Her voice was soft but steady. "You promised." Leo felt like the world had stopped moving. "I waited," she said. "I became strong. I crossed stars. I returned. For you." He couldn't speak. She looked at him, her eyes bright. "I am Nari of the Starlit Crown, and I have come to fulfill the promise you made to me." Leo stood there in the quiet night, stunned. The rain had stopped. The wind held its breath. And from the sky, more lights appeared. Watching, waiting. Something had begun again. And Leo knew deep in his soul that his life was no longer normal. The joke he made in a broken world had returned. And this time, it was real. He sat on the edge of his bed, hands shaking slightly, staring out the window. The strange, glowing ship still hovered above his backyard. It made no sound. It just floated there, as if time meant nothing to it. And her, Nari, she was sitting in his living room, calm and silent, waiting. He still couldn't believe it. She had changed so much. The tiny alien girl he remembered from the war, the one who trembled in fear, who barely spoke, was gone. Now she was tall, graceful, and powerful. She spoke with confidence, like someone who had lived through fire and come out stronger. Leo slowly walked back to the living room. She was sitting straight on the couch, her hands resting in her lap. Her glowing blue skin shimmered in the dim light. She looked up at him as he entered. "I thought it was just a joke," Leo said carefully. "I didn't mean to confuse you. I was trying to make you feel safe." Nari tilted her head. "I was young, yes. But I understood. I knew you didn't mean it the way humans mean such things. But still, you gave your word. In our culture, a word is sacred. A promise, once spoken, lives forever." Leo sat down across from her, unsure of what to say. He rubbed his face with his hands. "That was 7 years ago. You waited all this time?" She nodded. "I trained. I studied human ways. I learned your language. I became heir to my people's throne. I waited because I believed in you." Leo looked at her, eyes full of questions. "Why?" "I was just a soldier. You were scared. I was trying to help." "You showed kindness in war," she said. "You didn't have to. Many others would have left me behind. You didn't. That meant something. And your words gave me hope when I had none." For a moment, silence filled the room. Leo felt a weight in his chest, like the past had suddenly come back and sat on his shoulders. "But why now?" he asked. "Why come back after all these years?" Nari stood and walked slowly to the window. "Because the galaxy is changing. My people are no longer safe. A new alliance is forming. They fear humans. They want to shut all doors forever. But if I bond with a human, truly and publicly, it could change everything. It could bring peace." Leo stared at her back. "So this is political?" She turned and looked into his eyes. "It began with politics, but not anymore. I came for you." He stood too, unsure of how to feel. "You don't even know me anymore." "I do," she said gently. "I watched you from afar. I know you became a gardener, a reader, a quiet man. I know you tried to forget the war. I know you are lonely." That last word hit hard. Loneliness. He never admitted it, but it was true. After the war, he had pushed people away. Too many memories, too much guilt, too many broken things. Now this strange, beautiful alien stood before him, offering him a promise he had forgotten. But she had not. "I don't know what to say," he whispered. Nari stepped closer. "Say nothing now. Just come with me. See my world. Meet my people. If you wish to return, I will not stop you. But if you stay, your promise will live." Outside, the ship slowly lowered to the ground. A door opened, glowing with soft light. Leo looked at her. He saw truth in her eyes. Not lies, no trickery, no force, just belief, pure and clear. He took a deep breath, walked forward, and said only one word: "Okay." As they stepped into the ship, the stars above seemed to shine brighter. Far above Earth, something ancient was waking, and deep in Leo's heart, he knew this was only the beginning. The ship rose into the night sky without a sound. Leo stood beside Nari, looking out through a wide crystal window. The Earth became smaller below them, just a ball of blue and green floating in space. He had left before, during the war, but this time felt different. This time, he was leaving behind everything, with no orders, no mission, just a promise. Nari remained silent for most of the journey. She sat across from him, her eyes closed, breathing slowly, like she was meditating. Her calmness made Leo nervous. His heart beat fast. He still didn't understand why he said yes. Maybe it was the way she looked at him. Maybe it was the feeling that she truly believed in him, more than anyone had in years. After some time, she opened her eyes. "We'll arrive soon." "Where exactly are we going?" he asked. "To Aloria. It's our homeworld," she replied. "But not everyone will be happy to see you." Leo raised an eyebrow. "Why not? I thought you were a princess now." "I am. But there are those who hate humans. They blame your kind for the war. Many believe I'm a traitor for coming back with you." Leo swallowed hard. "So I'm walking into a storm." Nari nodded. "Yes, but I will protect you." He tried to laugh, but it came out nervous. "You're going to protect me?" She looked at him seriously. "Yes, you protected me once. I haven't forgotten." The ship entered a tunnel of stars, bright, lights spinning around them like a dream. Then suddenly, everything stopped. The view cleared, and there it was, Aloria. It was the most beautiful planet Leo had ever seen. Huge floating islands hovered above oceans of glowing water. Cities were built into the sides of giant crystal mountains. Strange birds with wings of fire flew through the air. It didn't look like a place from war. It looked like magic. But as they landed, Leo saw the truth. Armed guards stood by the landing platform. Their armor was sharp and silver. Their eyes, cold. They didn't smile when they saw Nari, and they definitely didn't smile at him. A tall alien stepped forward. He had a long robe, a crown of wires on his head, and deep purple skin. His voice was sharp. "Nari, you returned. With him." Nari bowed her head slightly. "High Keeper Tharos, I have returned, as I said I would. The human made a promise. I accepted it. He is under my protection." Tharos's eyes narrowed. "That was 7 years ago. The council never approved it. The bond was a joke." "It was not a joke to me," Nari said. The guards looked tense. Leo stood quietly beside her, doing his best not to look afraid. "You risk everything for this human," Tharos said. "Why?" "Because he showed mercy when no one else did," Nari replied. "And because I believe peace is still possible." Tharos turned his eyes to Leo. "Do you believe that too, human?" Leo took a step forward. His voice was calm, but firm. "I don't know if I believe in peace, but I believe in her. That's why I'm here." For a long moment, no one moved. Then Tharos gave a sharp wave. "Very well. Let the trial begin." Leo's stomach dropped. "Trial?" "Yes," Tharos said. "You seek to bond with a Minari princess. That cannot happen without judgment. The people will decide if you are worthy. If you fail, you will be returned to Earth, or worse." Leo looked at Nari. She didn't flinch. Her eyes burned with quiet strength. "Don't worry," she said. "We face this together." As the guards led them deeper into the glowing city, Leo felt a strange mix of fear and purpose. He didn't know what the trial would bring. He didn't know if he could win the hearts of a people who hated humans. But he knew one thing. He had made a promise, and he was going to keep it. The city of Aloria was breathtaking, but Leo had no time to admire it. The trial would begin in 2 days, and Nari explained that it was not like a courtroom trial on Earth. It was a test of heart, courage, and truth. They stayed in a tall silver tower that floated above the ocean. The rooms were quiet, almost too quiet, and Leo could feel the pressure building. Every moment he expected someone to barge in and arrest him. He could feel the eyes of the people watching him from the shadows. On the second night, Nari brought him to a chamber carved into a glowing tree. It was beautiful, filled with soft light and sweet smells. In the center stood an old woman with silver lines on her face and long blue robes. Her name was Elder Kari, and she was the keeper of the first trial. "Do you understand what you are asking, human?" she said slowly. "To bond with a daughter of Minari is no small thing. It's not a game. It is a bond of soul." Leo nodded. "I understand that. I didn't mean for this to happen, but I'm here now. I won't walk away." "Good," she said. "Then the first trial begins now." Without warning, the room began to shift. The tree walls melted away, and Leo found himself standing in the middle of a battlefield. Smoke filled the air. Explosions shook the ground. It looked exactly like the war. He turned and saw himself. A younger Leo running through fire, shouting orders, a memory. No, more than a memory. He was inside it. Suddenly, he heard crying. A small figure, a young alien girl, was trapped under rubble. It was Nari, back when she was just a scared child. The scene played out exactly as he remembered. The heat, the fear, the choice. Back then, he could have kept running. He could have left her. But he didn't. Now, he had to make that choice again. He dropped to his knees and started pulling the rubble away. Smoke stung his eyes. Fire licked his back. His hands burned. But he kept going. He lifted her out. She clung to him, crying. And then, the scene vanished. Leo was back in the glowing tree chamber. Elder Kari watched him with sharp eyes. "You chose again," she said. "You saved her again." "Of course I did," Leo said, breathing hard. "I do it every time." Kari nodded. "Then you passed the first trial, the trial of memory. But the next one will not be so kind." That night, Leo lay awake, staring at the strange stars outside his window. He felt like he was being torn between two worlds, Earth and Aeloria, past and future, war and peace. Nari came to sit beside him. "You were brave today." Leo shook his head. "It wasn't bravery. I just did what was right." "Many do not," she said softly. "That's why your choice matters." He looked at her. She had grown so much, become someone powerful and wise, and yet he could still see the small girl he had once saved. "Nari," he said, "what if I fail? What if your people never accept me?" "Then I will still stand with you," she replied, "because I believe in the heart I saw in the fire. That heart is still yours." For the first time since arriving, Leo smiled. The next trial was coming. It would be harder. He could feel it in his bones, but he also knew he wasn't facing it alone. The next morning, Leo was led through the crystal streets of Aeloria by two silent guards. Nari walked beside him, her face calm but serious. She had explained the second trial in a whisper late the night before. "The trial of truth," she had said. "They will look into your mind, into your soul. You cannot lie. You must face what you hide, even from yourself." Now, as they entered a tall silver spire surrounded by glowing vines, Leo felt his chest tighten. Inside, the walls shimmered like water. Strange shapes floated through the air, memories maybe, or thoughts. At the center stood a circle made of living crystal. Elder Kari was there again, and beside her stood three new figures, keepers of truth. Their eyes glowed pale white. They did not speak. They only raised their hands, and the crystal circle lit up. "Step forward, Leo of Earth," Kari said. The circle will reveal what lies within. You must not run. You must not resist. Do you accept? Leo nodded. I do. As he stepped into the circle, light wrapped around him like mist. It was warm at first, then cold. Suddenly, his mind was not his own. He saw flashes of his childhood, his parents, the small house he grew up in the day he left for the military. He saw the battles, the pain, the things he had done. Some memories were small, almost forgotten. Some were heavy, full of shame. One memory stopped him cold. It was the day the war ended. He had stood over a fallen alien soldier, injured, weaponless. The soldier had begged for mercy, and Leo had hesitated. In the memory, he could see his own hand shaking. He had almost pulled the trigger. The rage, the fear, it had nearly won. But something stopped him. A voice in his head. A feeling. He lowered his weapon. Now, inside the circle, he saw it again. The choice. The struggle inside himself. The voice of one of the keepers filled the air, not from their mouth, but inside his mind. Why did you show mercy? Leo's heart pounded. Because I didn't want to become the monster they thought I was. I wanted to be better. Even though he killed your friends? Leo's throat tightened. Yes, even then. I didn't forgive him. But killing him wouldn't bring them back. The circle pulsed brighter. And the girl, Nari? Did you save her out of guilt? No, Leo said firmly. I saved her because she was just a kid. She was scared. I couldn't walk away. I didn't know who she'd become. I just knew. She needed help. The light faded slowly. The voices stopped. Leo stumbled, breathing hard. Sweat ran down his back. Elder Kari stepped forward. The truth is never easy. But you did not run from it. You passed the second trial. Leo looked up. How many more? 2, Kari replied, and each one digs deeper. Outside, the sky of Aeloria had begun to darken. Strange clouds gathered above the city, humming with energy. That night, the streets were filled with whispers. Some called Leo a fool, others a threat. But there were a few, just a few, who began to wonder, what if this human really was different? Inside the tower, Leo sat alone. Nari joined him again. You saw everything, didn't you? He asked. She nodded. The circle shares what it finds with the council. And you still believe in me? I always will, she said softly. He looked at her. Even if I fail? You already passed the test that matters most, she said. You stayed true to who you are. Leo looked out the window, where the stars blinked through the strange clouds. He didn't know what the next trials would bring, but something was changing. In the city, in him, and maybe, in the future, they could build together. The final trial was unlike anything Leo had faced before. No glowing rooms, no memories or voices. Just silence. Cold, deep silence. They brought him to a black stone gate hidden beneath the sea. A glowing path led downward, and Nari held his hand until the very edge. This is the trial of choice, she said softly. No one can guide you here, not even me. He nodded, heart pounding. I'll find my way. She looked at him, pain in her eyes. Not every choice has a happy ending. Leo stepped forward, and the gate swallowed him. Inside, everything went dark. Then, light, a forest, earth trees, familiar smells. He was back home, or something that looked like home. But this was no dream. A voice spoke from the shadows. It was soft, like wind in the trees. You may return to Earth now, Leo. To your people. Your world. Everything will be as it was. Peaceful. Safe. He turned. A figure stepped out. An old man in white robes, face calm, eyes sad. "But if you choose to stay here," the man said, "you will lose Earth. You will be cut off from your world, forever, no return, no second chance." Leo blinked. "And what about Nari?" "She will remain here," the man said, "waiting, but if you leave, she will be alone." Leo's chest felt heavy. "What happens to her if I go?" he asked. "She will survive," the man answered. "She is strong, but her promise will be broken. Her heart will break, and she will carry that pain. Always." Leo looked around. The air smelled like Earth. He could almost hear birds, cars, laughter, and yet it didn't feel real. He closed his eyes and saw Nari's face, the tiny girl from the war, the warrior she had become, the one who had waited years to keep her promise, his promise. "Why are you giving me this choice?" he asked. "Because love must be chosen freely," the voice replied. "Not out of duty, not out of guilt, out of truth." Leo stepped back, then forward. He didn't need more time. The answer was clear. "I choose her," he said. "I choose this world." The forest faded. The light blinked out. He opened his eyes, and he was back, standing in front of the council. Elder Kari was there, the others too. Nari stood at the edge of the platform, staring at him, eyes wide. "He has passed the final trial," Kari said. "By giving up everything he knew, he has chosen us." The crowd gasped. Some cheered, others were silent. But Nari, she ran to him. He didn't say a word. He just wrapped his arms around her, and she held him tight, not caring who was watching. "I thought maybe you wouldn't come back," she whispered. "I couldn't leave," Leo replied. "Not after everything, not after you." Tears filled her eyes. "Then we're not alone anymore." Leo looked up at the council. "What happens now?" Kari stepped forward. "Now, you begin a new life, as one of us." That night, Aloria lit up with soft lights and slow music. Not a loud celebration, but a quiet one. A respectful one. Leo sat beside Nari under a sky full of stars he didn't recognize, but they were starting to feel like his own. She reached for his hand. "There's one more promise I need to keep." He raised an eyebrow. "Oh, yeah?" She smiled. "You joked about marrying me once. Long ago." Leo chuckled. "Yeah, I remember." She looked at him seriously. "Would you still say yes, now that I'm not small or helpless? Now that I'm strong and can stand beside you?" He met her gaze. "Yes, I'd say it with my whole heart." She smiled wider. "Then let's promise each other again, but this time, for real." They sat in the starlight, fingers interlocked, hearts finally whole. And somewhere in the quiet winds of Aloria, a new story began. A human and an alien, a war and a promise, a joke that turned into love, a future neither of them ever expected, now theirs to build together. Weeks passed. Aloria began to change, not because of Leo, but because of what he and Nari represented. Hope. The people had seen a human pass every trial. They had seen him choose love over fear. Some started to believe in peace, some for the A. First Time began to believe humans were not monsters. But not everyone. Far in the frozen north of Aloria, a group of elders met in secret. They were known as the Old Circle. To them, Leo was still a threat, a trick, a weapon in disguise. "He passed the trials," one elder said. "Trials mean nothing," another growled. "He is human. They burned our skies. They crushed our cities." "The girl has been blinded by emotion," said the oldest. "She sees him as her savior, but we see the truth." The Old Circle agreed on one thing. They could not let this alliance grow stronger. Meanwhile, Leo and Nari stood on the balcony of their shared home, It was small, built from crystal and steel, a mix of both worlds. Below them, children laughed in the streets, Aelorian and human children. "It's happening," Nari said quietly. "Our dream. It's real." Leo smiled, but his eyes were distant. "For now." She looked at him. "You feel it too, don't you?" He nodded. "Someone's watching, waiting, like they're ready to tear it all apart." Just then, a knock at the door. A guard, pale face, shaking hands. "There's been an attack," he said. "On the southern border. A human transport ship, blown out of the sky." Leo's face went cold. "Survivors?" "None." Nari clenched her fists. "We told them this was coming. Not all Aelorians want peace." "It wasn't Aelorians," the guard whispered. "There was human tech found at the scene." Leo's stomach twisted. "That's not possible. Earth hasn't sent anyone here." "Then someone wants to make it look like they did," Nari said, eyes narrowing. "To break the peace before it starts." They rushed to the council tower. Chaos inside, voices shouting. Some blamed humans, others demanded justice. A few cried out for war. Elder Kari stood firm at the center, her voice like thunder. "Enough! We will investigate before we decide anything." She looked at Leo. "You must go, with Nari. Find out who did this. Prove it wasn't your people, or this world will burn." Leo didn't hesitate. "We'll go." That night, under cover of darkness, Leo and Nari flew out in a silent glider toward the crash site. As they neared the broken remains of the ship, Nari noticed something strange. "The blast pattern," she muttered. "It's wrong. It wasn't hit from outside." Leo crouched beside a scorched panel. He pointed. "Look here. This bomb was planted inside the ship." They looked at each other. "Aelorian saboteurs," Nari whispered. "But who?" Suddenly, a dart flew past Leo's head. They dropped, rolling behind the wreckage. More darts came, fast, sharp, humming with poison. From the shadows, shapes moved, cloaked figures, faces hidden, eyes burning. One stepped forward. "You should have left, human." Leo stood. "You killed your own people just to start another war." The figure laughed. "We did what was needed. Your peace is a lie. Eloria will never bow to Earth." Nari drew her blade. "You just declared war on your own kind." Battle erupted. Blades clashed. Lights flared. Leo fought with fists, kicks, anything he could grab. Nari moved like wind, silent, sharp, fierce. Together they held the line. But they were outnumbered, until a roar filled the sky, lights above. Aelorian guards arrived, Kari's personal unit. They crashed down like thunder, scattering the attackers. The traitors fled. 3 were captured. Leo, breathing hard, turned to Nari. "We need to tell the council," but she was already running. The next day, Kari stood before the full assembly. "The traitors at her feet. These are the ones who bombed the ship," she said. "To destroy peace. To spark war." She looked at the people. But they failed. Because 2 souls, one human, one Aelorian, stood between us and chaos. She turned to Leo and Nari. "They saved us. Again." The crowd was silent. Then they began to cheer. Not all, but enough. Later, as the sun set, Leo and Nari stood at the same balcony where their new life began. "Do you think we'll ever stop fighting?" Leo asked. Nari smiled gently. "Maybe not. But we can keep choosing to fight for the right things." He looked at her. "For love? For peace," she said. "For a future that doesn't repeat the past." He nodded. "Then let's keep choosing." She rested her head on his shoulder. Far away, the stars blinked silently. The galaxy was still full of danger, hate, and fear. But in a small corner of it, there was hope. And it all began with a joke. a joke about marrying a tiny alien girl, and ended with something much stronger: love, trust, and a new beginning.